Living on a narrowboat is largely worry-free. It's relaxing, except when there's a storm. I've shared footage of what it's like when it's windy, but what about when it's flooding? Well, after rain and snow, boaters like myself were often looking to the river levels around us and how that might impact where we are moored. This is the river and a disused lock which used to be used for boats carrying cargo for this way. The water's absolutely gushing right into this basin and the levels on the canal are increasing quite sharply, so I'm actually going to have to get back on my boat to make sure I can still get back on my boat. Mooring up next to other boats can offer an element of safety, but it can mean that you find yourself responsible for other people's boats, especially if they're not as aware as you are, or if they're just people you don't really like. You're all in it together and you've all got narrowboats or cruisers as your home. The water, as you can see, is going up over the path here, and this little time lapse shows how it's starting to go over that electric bollard. It's starting to creep up all around the basin that I'm in, and it's quite worrying. All the boats are pretty much tied together in the middle of the basin right now because we're running out of options for some of us who haven't got the poles that extend down the side. So I'm moored next to a boat that's got them. I'm just hoping the water level doesn't go beyond that point. I'm just enjoying a meal of baked beans, baked potato, and a little bit of chorizo there as well. Nice. The river levels on the government website for the nearby area are showing that we are about 20 centimetres off the highest level on record. So this is crazy. I've never been in a situation like this before where the river has been this high. The boats, it's like almost as high as the surrounding bridge. I certainly wouldn't be able to leave where I am in this basin. I say I'm trapped. I'm trapped now. But yeah, I'd be more frantic and anxious probably if I wasn't so bloody tired. I can't go to bed. I've got to stay up because I've got to wait until the river goes down again, and that could happen very, very quickly. So I've just got to be ready for when it does. After a while, the water did recede, but it started to drop so rapidly that another boat was getting caught on the pontoon as it came down. As the water levels come down, this is the main thing. You've got to watch out that one part of your boat doesn't catch on something. So, yeah. I actually rang the fire service because that's what they asked me to do. But in the end, I had to hang up because they weren't going to come out to help because it wasn't a danger to life. It would have been if we'd fallen in, which the owner of the boat did. Luckily, he had to right himself, and he was wearing waders anyway, so he's all right. And I just put the phone down, jumped down into the water, and just helped push the boat out. He just needed an extra pair of hands, really. Happy to help. Just got to dry my boots out now and my trousers. Right, let's see if we can see land yet. Oh yeah, there we are. Oh. Well, this boat, it's just a tender, so that's all right, we can sort that out. boat's okay. And this one was the one I was worried about, but that's fine. The rudder is well clear. Just wait for the water to subside a bit more before I can jump down. What a mess. And that's the thing, after the floods, there's often a lot of stuff just washed into the canal or sort of out onto the towpath itself. It's just such a mess everywhere, and it stinks, like all the wood and rubbish that gets washed up. It just smells of dirty canal water, really. And the only people that can sort it out are the boaters themselves. The Canal and River Trust have got their work cut out in terms of managing the water flow and the locks and any damage caused by that, which you'll see coming up as we head on out of the basin, 4 weeks on from the flood, to take on the figure of 3 locks on the Calder and Hebble navigation. Just arrived at the figure of 3 locks. There's 2 locks ahead of me, and the third one is one that's no longer used. It's off towards the river. It's actually called the figure of 3 locks, not because of how many there are or were, it's because of the shape of the River Calder next to it. Been the subject of a lot of flooding, and in the most recent floods have actually obliterated all the work they did to fix the ones that happened 2 years earlier. What we're looking at is footage taken from a CRT lock keeper, and you can just see how the river has washed into the canal, but it's also taken, well, all sorts of debris and spread it everywhere, but it's also just completely destroyed some of the stonework, and just the bywash is completely destroyed. Look at everything's just a complete mess. Luckily these lock gates are still in place, but look at all of that silt and stone and sand, everything that's just been washed in there. It's just absolutely incredible. What a clean-up job that would have been. In fact, it ended up costing £2 million, so that gives you an idea of how much there was to do. But that is just incredible. At least I can actually get through these locks, and it's not a complete disaster, although I am really struggling here to get my boat into the side because of all the silt that's washed in. Yeah, basically anything that could have washed into the canal has washed into the canal. So it's just really difficult to pull in. Hopefully that means I'll be right for a mooring tonight. It's quite late in the day and the sun is setting. It's been a busy day. I normally leave quite late in the day really, but it's been a busy day. So much going on in my life at the moment in general. It's almost like I haven't got time for cranking it, but that's not true. For all the world's time, I've got all the time in the world to explore the canals. I'm making the most of it. Got my I've got my camera attachment, but I've also got my windlass and Calder and Hebble spike. Let's see which one I need to use. Not the spike. At this end anyway. It's just the windlass. Oh bloody hell, my clamp does not work anymore. The thread just turns round and round and round, so hopefully I can fix this, but for now, yeah, abandon that idea. Right, so that thing, what can I salvage for now? Probably just the end bit. Right, let's see what I've got. Well, I've got tripod. It's a bit conventional. Oh, it's pulling everything else with it. That's not good. I'm not having a good time here. This is the problem. You try and be organised and what's the point, eh? Back you go, MIDI keyboard. But I think what I want to do is get a shot of me coming into the lock. So I'm going to set this tripod up and hope no one steals it. Right, I'm going to use one of these ground paddles. If it works, it may not. I don't know. I've no idea. I've never been this way before. Let's see what happens. It's working. Now it's time to try out my homemade Calder and Hebel spike. I made this when I was at my previous mooring. Just got some old oak and thought that looks like a similar size of the Calder and Hebel spike. So let's have a look to see if it actually fits. Yeah, that easily fits. Time to play with the drone as well, I think, but I need the iPhone to to collect the images and pilot it from. So let's flying my drone. I have to make sure that I'm keeping within line of sight. That's part of operating a drone responsibly. But I just love it because you get to see the whole landscape around you. Normally I only see what's down by the towpath or on the canal itself, and here we can see all the scars that have been made by the floods and work that's been done to rectify the damage. Can't quite see the third lock here, it's just opposite side of that house, but we can see the river that it used to access via the canal. I'm a bit too close to these power lines, but I am a professional. I've got professional insurance anyway, if anything goes wrong. But I'm bringing it down because there's a problem with the drone. It's started to beep and say that the rotors are spinning too fast. There's a little problem here. Propellers are rotating too fast according to the app. I don't know what I can do. Oh well, let's turn that off. Before we crank on, there's a few people that I need to thank and enter them into my logbook. These are the new Crank It crew members for this video. We've got Ellen Dahl and Chris Conlon, both of which are producers, so they get little dangerous red flags next to them. And then we've got Kirsty and Chris, Greg Dean, Neil Kilby, Dom Horton and Jonathan Martin as Crank It crew members. Thank you all so much for keeping those pesky adverts at bay. I recently bought a spare chemical toilet, which literally is just a bucket with a lid on it, with a seat on it. And yeah, I've left my flaps open so everyone could see me shitter. Oh dear. The ground paddles are broken on this lock, so I've got to use the ones in the actual gates very carefully. Because you can get some girt load of water gushing in here. because I've had the best of the sun in the evening sun, and it is cold, so I want to get inside and just get by that fire, get some food, and edit the video, because this is the biggest part, or the biggest thing that people don't usually realise, is that if you make YouTube videos, you're not just having all that fun that you see on the screen. You're also having to stay indoors when it's sunny, editing, or staying up late at night, putting the finishing touches and adjusting the volume. In my case, trying to cut out the engine noise sometimes. But we're just passing the other lock. It's not much to look at. Right, I'm just going to pull in here by these swans, if they don't mind. The sun's just about to go down over that hill. I almost forgot to tell you actually about Pub of the Week. It's just over that way. Pub of the Week! The Pub of the Week for this video is only a short walk alongside the river to this little industrial estate where they actually brew the beer as well. So this pub, the Brewer's Pride, is right next door to Ossett Brewery. They're quite well known in the UK for making ales. Here's a selection, and you can see they retail all other types of drinks, including a local craft brewery, Salt are from Huddersfield. Because they specialise in unfined beers, that's beers that haven't been filtered to be as clear as the other ones. Like this, I think this was just a lager. Can't remember which one. I mean, if you can remember what you're drinking, and it's not been a very good night, is it? So, yeah. Enjoyed an evening here with my friend David, who's a boater from Horbury Bridge. And his dogs are lovely, English sheepdogs. And the pub's just generally quite a big pub, and it's just really quite cosy as well. All these oldie-worldy sort of signs, and you can't beat a good fire, can you? And I especially like the fact that they've used some old mash tuns, so these brass and copper things that have been turned upside down actually to form the front of the bar. I think that looks really sweet. And yeah, that's Pub of the Week. Well, that's it from this little episode. I hope you enjoyed mucking around on some locks with me, filming in different ways, and I hope you learnt, yeah, just something new, even if it's just one little tiny thing. Like, oh, I didn't know you could get toilets that are basically a bucket with a lid on it, but you can. Keep on cranking it, and I'll see you again. Bye!